you or someone you know experiencing sudden obsession with fictional characters from the hit show Love and Marriage Huntsville? You may be suffering from melody derangement syndrome, or MDS. MDS affects hundreds of fans worldwide, causing compulsive behaviors such as rage tweeting, binge watching YouTube videos, and prying into the personal lives of TV characters. Don't let MDS control your life. Talk to your doctor today about the symptoms of melody derangement syndrome and find out how you can regain control. Consult your physician before starting any treatment. Side effects may include improved social interactions, increased productivity, and a healthier relationship with reality. Viewer discretion is advised.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What is up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Happy, what is this? Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Come on in. We got a few things that we need to talk about. Come on in, get comfortable. Required viewing for tonight's conversation is the Martell character analysis. Make sure that you've checked that out. And we're going to give folks a little bit more time to come on in here.
Yeah, they rolling hard too. They slanging real good, real good.
Might have to drop them. Might have to drop a dime on them niggas.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Gotta stop it.
I don't like that shit.
For sure, bro.
I don't like that shit.
All right, we are 6 minutes in. Let's go ahead. We have about just a handful of people here. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Go ahead and put a 1 in the chat if you can hear my voice. Let's start off there as always. Let's just start off on whether or not y'all can hear me or not. Because I'll get to talking and look up and realize that it was all for naught. So put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Thank you, pros. So good evening, pros, Cans, Alicia. It's so good to be on yet another live. Happy Wednesday, Dana. And before we get into the open panel, hopefully we get a couple people to come up here and talk, namely Tanya, who I promised that I would bring up to hear her critique of my Martell analysis, and she said that's her favorite character, which is interesting. I've never heard that. He's worthy of being someone's favorite character. I'm not saying that, but I would be very interested to see what she thought about it. But yeah, y'all, before we get into that, I have to say a couple things about my last live. So you all know I did a trailer reaction video, and I was kind of going in, right? I don't really take anything back, but there are some things that I may have been wrong about as it relates to Shanita Foster, or Sharita Foster, whatever her name is. The lady who I said had the blocked face. So first, the disclaimer, okay, is that I shouldn't have to know anything about her, okay? Because she's not on the show. And that's what's so annoying and frustrating, that I shouldn't have to know her backstory or what her face used to look like or anything that she's been through, because she is not an actual character on this show. So I just really like low key resent the fact that I even have to say that I was wrong about anything, right? But I like to be fair. But in my defense, I shouldn't know who she is because I don't watch her show, right? And I don't follow her on social media, and I shouldn't. Why would I, right? But here she popping up in our space, okay? And so now we gotta figure out, like, I don't have time for this. Okay. I gotta figure out what's happening under Trisha's wig because she actually owned the show. All right. But nevertheless, okay, I was wrong about the makeup. Okay. I said that, it looked like she had cake fondant and that she was given a little drag race tease, little drag race realness. And that the makeup was too heavy and she didn't need it because, she was a woman already. All the things I said. Y'all heard everything that I said. I said it was mean. Because I don't normally, just be going in like that. But the whole situation for me was annoying. And I feel like if she's gonna be out here exposing people, she should first expose who she is, right? Like take off a pound of the makeup, snatch off your wig, and come talk to us nice and be a regular human, right? Okay. So what I didn't know, okay, was that it's not that she's wearing a lot of makeup. That is her actual face. Um, so there's that. So I, like I didn't know that. I just thought that it was overly made up. I would not have known that that was actually what she really looked like. Um, and so my apologies for that, y'all. That's why you don't come for people's looks, But again, in my defense, the only reason why I was saying anything about her was she was coming in a little bit too hot. She was, yet another lap dog, going live talking about who she going to expose, this whole thing. And the thing about, again, exposure, like don't come over here with that. Expose you first. Okay? So I was wrong. I was wrong that she was wearing a lot of makeup. That's actually what she really looks like. Because she had a lot of plastic surgery, apparently, and comparing pictures from what she looked like when she was on, I guess, the NFL Wives show to what she looks like current day, is not makeup. That's what she's done to her face. And so I have to take that back. Okay. So I guess she can't take that off. So in that vein, I guess she has more, I guess, exposed herself. I don't know. I still don't want to be bothered. Okay. I also said that, the women empowerment sessions, workshops, whatever the hell, are scams. I stand by that. I still think that they're scams. I stand by everything that I said. However, I did say that they need to go and run down there to the Urban League or someplace and talk to the people directly, like go to where the people are. Apparently, Miss has been doing that. She doesn't just do women empowerment, scam sessions, come to me, pay me so I can say about how great I am. She actually has gone to specifically the Urban League and gave a speech or whatever to empower the girls. So, I just want to be fair. Because when I was forced to go find out who this lady actually was, just because I like to be informed, I found out, those two things. So I was like, well, hell, I still don't want to see her on the show. I don't think it really changes the price of tea. But hell, it's worth coming on here and saying, look, y'all, I thought that it was makeup. It's actually her face. I don't know if that's better or worse, but I'm not above correcting myself. Pro said that she is irrelevant completely. So I hate that I even felt the need to try to figure out who this lady is, because like that is, that's what they want us to do. Because then once we start figuring out who she is, what she does, and we start to talk about it, then the folks who monitor these conversations and these YouTubes who go back and report to Carlos and the rest of them, telling them what we want to see, they be getting it all mixed up. They think just because we talking about folks, that means that we want to see them on the damn TV screen. And that is not it. That's not it, Carlos or whomever. Okay. So putting that aside. How many of y'all watch the Martell character analysis? Give me a heart. Let's put a heart in the chat if you've seen the Martell character analysis. Because I really, really want to get into this. If you've seen it, put a heart in the chat. I need at least a couple folks to see it. If you've seen my Martell Holt, thank you. Thank you, Pros. Pros looked at it. Anybody else look at the character analysis for Martell? Okay, thank Alicia saw it. Okay, y'all. So, oh my God, I said that I've been waiting a while to just finally produce the video. Like, just drop it. I dropped it last night because I was tired of holding on to it. And it wasn't going to get much better than what I was able to put together. So I just let it go, right? There was a weird moment with the sound. I can't track the root of that. Nothing changed. I was using the exact same mics and in the exact same spot, not moving. So I don't know what was happening with the sound for that like minute and a half, where it kind of gets a little low and staticky. So, push through. You can still hear it if you turn it up a little bit for those of y'all who haven't listened to it. But something that I really started to realize about Martell, and this is why doing character analysis are so much fun to me, because you start to really dig into the actual person on TV and their relationship to the storylines and also to the other characters. And you start to notice things that you don't notice when you're kind of when you're taking a step back and looking at all the pieces together, right? When you start to zoom in on different pieces of it, it becomes a bit interesting. And I'm not trying to be a therapist for Martell. I'm not qualified for that. I think that he needs one, but he probably needs a little bit more than a therapist. I think he might need an actual psychologist. He can't do that counselor life coach shit. He need a real person who can prescribe meds. Okay, not a therapist. I know, a psychiatrist. That's what Martell needs. He ain't the only one, but since we're talking about him, I'm just gonna say Martell needs a psychiatrist for sure. And the reason why I say he needs a step up from a counselor therapist is because I think, and now this is kind of going into some psychoanalysis that I'm not qualified to do, but I think that there's some stuff there from his childhood for sure that's manifesting in how he presents today. And I don't know if it's a matter of pride or what exactly is that motivating force that keeps him from truly being vulnerable. And I'm not saying that he needs to be vulnerable with us, because a lot of content creators and folks do that bullshit, right? Like, they're like, y'all not telling your real life. Y'all ain't like, God, they can tell you the version and the portion of life that they feel like telling y'all. Y'all not entitled to shit from these folks. You get what they gonna give you. Okay, and move on. But for Martell, he doesn't, he's not real with himself. Okay, so because he's not real with himself, right? Like, he ain't got to keep it real with us, but he can't front with himself. And that's basically what I pick up from him. So please go and watch the character analysis. I'll give you all a high level overview now before we kind of start this discussion. But something that I noticed when I went back and watched the and we only get chopped up pieces of their story. Exactly. One thing that I noticed when I went back and watched the episodes when I started doing the character analysis, I noticed that with Martell, he really seemed, and y'all know in my character analysis, I'll be trying to be as unbiased as humanly possible, but I'm about to talk a little bit of shit now. But he always really seemed like Melody was just dragging him along like a damn rag doll. Like, it really just gave that she was just dragging him along and around by the collar. Like they would get together and they would be like, yeah, we gonna do this for the comeback group. And then they would get into a comeback group meeting and Melody would do something else. And just the way that she would speak to him. I remember one specific scene where he was in the office working and she came in and he's like, well, where you been? Because, if you can spend more time in the office, then I can spend more time in the field getting things done. And she's like, no, I got to build my brand and I got a photo shoot and I got this and you can take care of the kids. And he was like, well, if I'm in the office and I'm taking care of the kids, like, where are you going to come in at? And it just wasn't, I never actually saw them have a healthy marital conversation, or even, I don't want to use the word normal, but a relatable marital discussion. Now, when they were fighting, a lot of that stuff sounded like, oh yeah, like they getting it, like that's real, like they getting in it, right? But before things really truly blew up, when they were pretending like they were happy, the unhappiness was seeping through. And Martell was really giving hostage. You know, he was really giving hostage. She would say the things, she was very dismissive. It's the very same energy that I saw, and I said this when I did Destiny's character analysis too. It's the same energy that I saw between Destiny and her husband. Just no respect. Let's just be real. There's just zero respect. She didn't show any respect for him on screen. And we know that he wasn't showing any respect for her behind the scenes. What we don't know is if that's how they've always related to one another, or was her lack of respect and what we saw her give him on camera, was it directly related to his infidelities? It still gives a so much more to be discussed, and like more questions come from that, because if they didn't relate previously, why? I mean, I don't know, because they were only married for, like, I guess, what, at that point, 7 years, but then he was allegedly cheating for like 3 or 4 of them, so they weren't really married that long. There are questions, right? Like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Eh, did he do what he did as far as being unfaithful because he didn't feel respected in the marriage, or did Melody lose her respect for him? And that's what bred that contempt and animosity that you saw with her directed to him. Now, because Martell is big on appearances and he is big on his his kind of idealistic view of the world and what he wants and who he wants to be, and just loving love for love's sake, like just wanting to be loved, like that kind of thing, it becomes unclear, right? Like, is he running away from the marriage because he doesn't feel loved and revered? Or is he just greedy? You know what I'm saying? Like, is he just greedy? Does he have to have it all? We don't know that, because we haven't really heard a full recount of like their full history as a married couple, right? And that ain't our business. They don't need to give us that. But those are just some of the holes, right? And so Martell just looked like he was just allowing himself to be dragged around. Now, he could also have been kind of just passive, because he probably had at that point had given up and was so deep in his double life that he was trying to, quote unquote, keep the peace. Who knows? But the overall takeaway that I have from this Martell kind of analysis is that the passive aggressiveness, and the unwillingness to deal with reality, are what I think lead to or contribute to his inability to truly thrive. And it isn't anybody else's fault, right? Like, but because he's passive aggressive, Martell would absolutely have one thing that is everyone's fault, right? It's his wife's fault because you cheated first, or you weren't doing this or that for me. Now, lots and lots of married people, or even folks who aren't married, have relational issues, right? And there are a lot of different routes one can take to address said marital issues. Going and having sex with another person and building a whole other family is not a reasonable way to handle a dispute in your marriage. So it's still bullshit. It's still bullshit. And so, as I said in my analysis, until he's able to actually take advantage of the opportunity to be truthful, not about, yes, I cheated and I'm sorry. Like, no, we've heard him admit to cheating. Okay. We've heard him say he didn't know what he was thinking. We've heard him say that he regrets it. Sure. And some would think that that's him showing accountability. But that's not really what accountability is. Accountability is not an apology. It's not simply an acknowledgement that something was done. That's not being accountable. Right. And a lot of people really struggle with what that word actually means. And then you have also the conversation of like, accountable to whom? Like, whom is he accountable to? To whom is he accountable? He isn't accountable to us, the public. He's not. He's mostly accountable to his children. And then also, you know, he was accountable to his wife when they were married, but now that they're no longer in a relationship, they're no longer married. He's no longer owing her anything, because the divorce was the neutralizer of that whole situation, right? So once you all decide that for all of the reasons you just can't make it work no more, ain't no apologies or no accountability to be had. Like the marriage is dissolved, right? So like Beyonce said, since I'm not your everything, how about I'll be nothing to you? Right. So now they're nothing to each other. They need to co-parent, but as far as him falling on his knees and saying anything to Melly, that ship is sailed. Not necessary. But when we're talking about what it means to be accountable, accountable is acknowledging the role that you've played in the demise of something or in an issue, right? The problem, you acknowledge your role, right? So he did that part. So it's acknowledging your role in it, but then also making sure that you understand what led to your behavior, right? And then taking the steps to make sure that the behavior doesn't happen again. That's called being accountable, which is why he continues to fight with his friends. He continues to bump heads with Mel. He continues to bump heads with Nail and Chris and anybody else who decides to, even though it's old and it's played at this point, but anybody else who comes and tries to talk to him about it, Tasha K, whomever, because he has never really truly been held accountable. I will even say not even been held accountable, because folks have tried to help him think through it. Because again, he doesn't have to be accountable to Marceau or to Maurice or any of them when they ask him these questions, right? He doesn't owe them that. But what they're trying to do is to help him process his behavior so that he can heal for himself. And he rejects it every time. That's when the passive aggressiveness comes out. That's when it's, well, you've been with 20 women, or I wouldn't have cheated if I hadn't been hanging out with y'all. Well, I wouldn't have done it if Melody hadn't have done this. Well, I would have never even been there had you not. And what does that sound like? It sounds like someone who's 8 years old, right? Like that's that inner child coming out as a defense mechanism, trying to cover that soft spot, right? So I wonder more about, just how Martell grew up. I'm wondering about his childhood, specifically of feeling shamed. Like, And I'm not really big on like folks talking about some, shame is bad. I think that you should have a healthy amount of shame. Folks who are shameless, like, ugh, right? But I wonder what happened in his childhood to make him so afraid to feel shame, right? Like he doesn't like the shameful feeling. Once he starts to feel bad for himself, like that, oh, I did that, like he fights against it. And so, I've heard, because I've been in therapy and I've read a lot of stuff. Um, but a lot of times that can come from, parents, right? In your parenting, you can make your kids feel very ashamed by commenting um on like their looks or like their abilities or like how much they eat, like, just saying little stuff all the time can make someone feel self-conscious. um and I don't know if some things happened in his childhood that made him feel self-conscious, made him feel like he wasn't good enough, or whatever the thing is, that he's kind of held that and brought that forward through his life. Whereas when anyone makes him feel like that child again, that wasn't in control, who felt insecure, then he lashes out, right? And that's just like one of his problems, yeah. So I just wanted to kind of talk through it just a little bit, um to before I kind of open up the phone lines for anybody to want to kind of chat about it. I think that if he doesn't fix that, if he's not able to actually dig through that and confront um the actual truth, we don't know what the truth is, right? I suspect, I have a suspicion about what one of his truths might be. I personally think that Martell fell in love with Ariane, which is rare because a lot of men don't end up choosing the mistress, right? But for all intents and purposes, he chose her, and is still with her, allegedly. And I think that he wasn't expecting that. And so instead of just being forthcoming and saying, like, this happened, I'm going to choose her, I want a divorce, like, he didn't do that, right? Um, because he was living part of his ideal. He was living part of his dream world, which none of it was real, right? Because if you got a lion sneak around, it's not real. And that's what his issue is. He doesn't do well in real life. He really thrives in his own head, and in like this fantasy land. And he has to get out of that fantasy land and deal with what's actually happening right here on Earth. Um, and hopefully after he does that, he can really thrive, y'all. So let me look in the comments and see what y'all saying. Um, hey Kiwa. Yeah, they were too far gone. And that happened so quickly. Like the very first episode, right when we were getting to understand and learn who they were. And I remember thinking, like, oh, Marcel, oh shit, keep all these Mars. Martell sound like he got it together. He's saying he don't mind being home with his children. He'll cook, he'll do this, and he feels like he don't want to miss out on time. Marcel, what do you get out of that? Martell, I get satisfaction out of that. I was like, okay. And then immediately, the same episode, we found out that he might be unfaithful. And it was a slow drip, right? But that's the thing about the dishonesty of Martell as well. You never really truly know if he's being honest or not. And so it's just a lot of smoke and mirrors. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors. Um, yeah, and a lot of smoke and mirrors. Hi, Carrie. Pro says, I think they both were not emotionally mature to even be together. Deep feel trauma from their childhood, like most people, and we mask it in relationships until it blows up. Yeah, I think that's a lot of people's truth, right? I also think, depending on your own background, um, and what your exposure has been to positive, healthy relationships too, right? Like a lot of us are teaching ourselves what it means to be in healthy, positive uh relationships, because a lot of us didn't have those models, right? And so looking from what we do know about the both of them, neither one of them had that. So who taught them how to have a healthy, balanced, positive relationship, right? They're figuring that stuff out on their own. And that's part of what makes marriages difficult, um, especially in, communities of folks that, have a low number of, marriages just in the community overall. They say that 70% of Black kids are born out of wedlock, right? So that means that most Black children aren't coming from homes where the parents are married. And so when you have Black kids who want to be married, young adults who want to be married, there is not like we have a lot of examples of that. Like we used to have the Cosby Show, or even in television, right? Like a lot of things that we didn't see in our own homes, we were trying to emulate from TV. And not even the models or the types of programming that we see on TV these days are not really pro family in that way. And so I think that, to their defense, in their defense, and in the defense of a lot of us, folks are really just trying to figure it out. And sometimes folks figure it out and sometimes they don't. But I think that for them, they do lack an emotional maturity, but I also think some of it is personality. And I think that honestly, the two of them together, they actually work well from a personality standpoint because they're very similar. They're very, very similar people. They have very similar traits. They just may present slightly different at times, which is why when you see them in conflict with others, you see them very tight, right? Like they're bonded together. You can see that ride or die, right? But it's only in opposition to a threat. But if it's just them two for them two's sake, you don't see that. But that speaks to also, again, their personality and their character and what drives them, right? And so it's very interesting. It's interesting. Yeah, lack of accountability. Accountability is getting help. Yeah, accountability is fixing the problem. If I can say that I understand that I was part of the problem or I was actually the problem, that ain't enough. Shit, what you gonna do about it? It ain't enough to be like, yeah, I fucked that up. Oh well. That's not being accountable. Accountable is, okay, well, what led me to make that decision? Like, what was behind my behavior? Like, why did I respond or react that way? Digging into that and making sure that that thing doesn't happen again. Because should nobody have to tell you 52 different times that you've hurt them? Because if they do, your ass ain't sorry. You're not accountable. Because if you were, it wouldn't have happened again. And it definitely wouldn't happen again the exact same way. Right. And so there's a difference with that whole recognizing that you did something wrong, right? But then refusing to fix yourself and fix your behavior to ensure it don't happen again. Right? Like I heard Jay-Z, I heard that he said it, I didn't hear it come out of his mouth. But he said the best apology is change behavior. And that's what accountability is. It really truly is change behavior. And at this point, we ain't seen this behavior change yet. It's been pretty consistent. Hey Sandria. Pro said, and likewise, they don't owe him either, but he wants to take everyone down with him. Now, when you all get to the end of my character analysis and I talk about what his archetype is, right? Or not, rather let's not do the archetype, but the character arc of having a fall, right? The fall. It literally says that. And this stuff gets really creepy because I'll lay all this stuff out and then I'll go and try to see like, okay, like what is the character type, archetype, and what is the character arc, and they be coming together so perfectly because it literally said that this particular character will take everybody down with them, and that this particular type of character misses every opportunity to accept the truth or confront their own truth and will take everybody else down with them. That's literally what Martell is. That's literally what he's going through. And that's why the only solution is the truth. It's his truth. And not like that my truth. Like some of that shit be perspective. People really be meaning like when they say, well, this is my truth, what they mean is say this is my perspective. No. When I'm talking about Martell, he really needs to do that some deep shadow work, which is why he needs a psychiatrist. He got to really dig into like what is making him be so passive aggressive to the point that he literally shoots himself in the foot every time. Um and he hurts himself more than anybody else hurts him. And I know a lot of people disagree with that because folks are so sick of Melody that they're starting to have a lot of empathy for Martell. But see, that's where, you can't let your feelings, right, for these people shade what actually is going on. You can have empathy for Martell and feel like Melody is doing too much or that her and her fans are making it hard for him to work. And all those things can be true. But that doesn't change who he still is as a person, right? Like that still doesn't change the fact that he has his own demons. It doesn't change the fact that he's passive aggressive. It doesn't change the fact that he uses the exact same methods that she uses to other people and to her, just in different ways, right? So it's kind of the same shit. But I get it. I completely get why folks have empathy for Martell right now. I have empathy for him a lot of times. But then when he turns around and starts, making up shit about people, because he knows how to play on the audience the same way she plays to the audience. He plays to the exact same fans that he claims are ruining his life. He plays to them too. But he uses them to go after whoever is trying to hold him accountable or making him feel shamed about his decisions and his choices. So he'll say things like, oh, what ain't Nell a side chick, right? He knows what the fuck he's doing when he's saying that stuff. And he's only doing that and saying those things because he wants those specific people. And he'll say, like, why y'all always talking about my stuff? Golly, like y'all always trying to talk about Martell. And his strategy to keep them from trying to help him, they don't even be dragging him. They just really be trying to help him think through his shit so he can be better, right? But because they're making him feel ashamed when they're doing it, he knows he can play to the same group of bozos that his ex-wife plays to. But then we'll say that he's a victim other times. It's like, nah, that shit don't. You can't trick me with that. Not unpopular opinion. I see all the way through that. He knows that those people are going to do exactly what they did. They're going to go and kick up a whole bunch of shit around Nell, right? Now, to the point that the daughter, they got beef down their family and all this stuff about Nell being the side chick. Now, what Martell could have done if he had strong moral character, he would say, look, I ain't got no space to talk about shit. I blew my life up. I fucked up. Y'all don't listen to me. I'm still trying to figure my stuff out. That would have been the realest shit that Martell could have done. But he's not going to do that. He's playing to the exact same people that he's criticizing Melody for playing towards. So don't be fooled by that, y'all. And again, he has positive qualities, just like they all do. But it's really important don't get bamboozled. A child, yes. And that was the second character trait or character archetype. Yes, thank you, Ginger. Please hit the like button. Please, please, please. He needs to heal his inner child, do some shadow work. Yes, I just said that. I don't know about the exorcism, child. I don't think the reason why I don't think that he is a terrible person, right? I think that he definitely gives me simp energy, but that don't make him bad, right? Like I understand. And he's having a human experience. This is just his bag. This is his shit. We all got our bags. So we can't villainize him, right? Because our shit ain't on TV. And ain't nobody perfect, right? We just analyzing his stuff. But very easily somebody can turn the analysis on us. So I ain't saying that he's a bad person. Like, he's still worthy of love. He's still worthy of wonderful, beautiful things happening to him. He's worthy of success. But in order to get those things, he has to do his own work. If he's not able or willing to do his own work, then it's gonna be what it's gonna be. Miss Marlene, she tells him all the time how he's so good. Yeah. So, how can I say this? First of all, I'm just gonna say, I like Miss Marlene. I don't know this lady, right? I like her. I don't really like all the moms. I don't really like Miss Van. She's condescending to me. I don't enjoy her. I don't enjoy Miss Betty either. She just gives me she's like one of them older ladies that's always mad about some shit. Like, don't sit over there. Don't eat that. Take your shoes off. Like, you go over to her house and be like, God damn. That's what Miss Betty be giving. But Marlene, like, she at least seemed like, if you were to go over there and sit with her, she'd probably give you some real good advice, say some stuff you don't want to hear. I think the problem, if it is a problem, and folks gonna get offended, but whatever. The problem is that Martell didn't have a father. Miss Marlene is gonna do what Miss Marlene is gonna do. This is what I was telling y'all before, about when we were talking about Nell, right, and her kids and how she talked to her kids, right? You have to have a balance of energy in your household. Martell, I believe, is the way that he is, not because of his mother. It's because he had a single mother, right? If he had a father present, Martell could possibly be a little bit different. Maybe. We don't know this. But I wouldn't put too much on Miss Marlene, because I'm pretty sure she was doing everything that she could think to do to raise her children on her own. And I've admitted I have a young son, and I can see that I do coddle. And I think that it's natural for mothers to coddle. I think that we are nurturers. That's what we do. You can't not have that emotional connection with your kids when you carry them inside of you for 9 months. Like, that's a completely different connection that we have with our kids, which is why we're the nurturers. Everything about us is to keep those kids alive. Everything that we do, we're just wired like that. Right. Which is why it's difficult for mothers to be really hard on their sons. And a lot of times when women are hard on their sons, it turns out the other way, like Nell, right? Where she has what appears to be an inability to be nurturing with her kids. And that's her tea. She probably got her reasons as to why she's like that. But as far as like just a natural wiring, like, women are naturally wired to be nurturing. So I don't fault Miss Marlene for kind of coddling him. Um, I think that that's what's wrong with a lot of Black men and a lot of men in general, that they growing up in environments and they being coddled and treated like babies the whole fucking time. And then we wonder, like Ayanla said, we wonder why they don't make good husbands and fathers. Like, to some extent, we need to examine that, especially when a lot of them are not growing up with fathers in home. So, Miss Marlene, yes, it's her fault, and then she shares that blame as well. But because of where she ended up with her kid's father being in prison or whatever the hell had happened, child, Martell got a lot of his mammy's ways. He act like Miss Marlene. Who else he's supposed to act like? Who else would Martell act like if not for his mama who raised him? Father wounds run deep for both of them. You ahead of me, pros. Yes. And not just them. That's a lot of people's stories. For sure. Oh, Tanya is here. Tanya, I'm gonna drop the link. I'm happy to see you. Hold on. I messed up. I'm mixed up. Oh, I mixed so many comments. Okay, wait, where am I? Okay, here we go. Boo boo boo. Mistresses become wives all the time. Do they? That's new. I ain't know that. Arion makes him feel like the big man on campus made him feel. Yes. Yes. I think that that is true. But again, my question that what I said earlier is that we don't know if Melody ever made him feel that way. It could be that when he was unfaithful, she lost respect for him. We don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if she's always had that. Because there are a lot of like headstrong. I mean, I used to be that way. I told y'all that before. Like, I used to definitely be the dude in the marriage because I had a certain status at work and it was hard to turn that stuff on and off. And it did impact my relationship until I figured out that I'm not a dude and I probably need to kind of tone it down. Then I had to unpack a whole lot of stuff I've been taught. You don't need no man. You can do things for yourself. You educated. You don't need nobody. You know, I remember when I was going for my doctorate, my grandfather, I still think this is funny, but just as a quick aside, we were talking about um my last name and I'm married. So let's say my last name is Brown, right? My married name is Brown. Um, and my maiden name was Coleman, right? Um, my grandfather's like, that Brown can go. That Coleman is here to stay. That Brown can go. Uh, he wanted me to revert back to my maiden name so that the doctor can go on it. He wanted to hear that Dr. Coleman. My grandfather did. Right. That was so important to him. He had been supporting me and helping raise me my entire life. We had gotten to this point and he felt like he had lost something for me to now call myself doctor, right? With somebody else's name. He was not having that. I ain't never finished it, y'all. I'm like 6 classes away, but whatever. Um, but that's kind of like being raised. Like you don't need him, right? And so we don't know if Melody ever really treated him like this king. But what we do know is that his mama treated him like one. So it's some shit in there, y'all. It is a battle between like how we were raised, where you learned how to be a wife and a husband from, all of that. He loves what other people can do for him, but he does not love them from a genuine place. I don't know. I don't know what anyone is doing for him. And I guess that's why I can't say. I can't say. I want to see Martell real life. And that's it. That's part of his healing. He has to be able to talk about and process through his actual real life. And part of this show, every character analysis I do, the show is fucking it up to a way that actual character can't thrive. None of them are thriving. None of them are thriving in a real way. And it's all because of them being hijacked and held hostage by a certain narrative of this show that the showrunners will not freaking let go. Um, if Martell can show his actual life, it may force him to deal with his reality. But the show kind of it perpetuates his actual problem, which is not living in the now. Because on the show, even as much as he complains about it, he just doesn't. He's just not real with himself. Even when they talk about Ariane on the show, they don't say her name. But now you divorced and everything. We know you fooling with this girl, whatever is happening. Why are you still acting like you don't talk to her? You won't answer questions about her. Like, dude, what is it to just be like, yeah, I just talked to her earlier. Like, it's a bunch of smoke and mirrors, and this shit's real annoying. Hey, Symmetry. Mel wore the pants, but Ariane looks to him to lead. Yes. And he likes that. A lot of men like that. But again, if he would have just been honest about that and been one of the men that just go back to the wife and be like, I'm gonna be with her, he couldn't do that. Because his ideal is to be married. He still liked the idea of being married with children and the whole home life and them wearing matching outfits and them working and all the shit that they were doing. But it wasn't enough because you were still outsourcing things to some other woman. And that's what we're saying. Like, his actual truth needs to be dealt with. Not for TV, not for us, but for him. For he needs to do it. It ain't on us. I'm gonna put the link in the chat. Society doesn't prioritize mental health, and that's why the world is dysfunctional as it is. And you know what else society? So it didn't prioritize mental health, but now they're making mental health trendy to where it's a whole lot of folks who don't have no business giving, like me, don't have no business giving no mental health advice to nobody because they are not clinicians, right? And they're giving out information and perpetuating information that's hurting people. It's turning folks into even a bigger narcissists than they actually are. Because now mental health sounds like, a person just sitting there talking about how folks jealous of them and, like everything is outside of them. When somebody's getting actual real therapy, when they spend most of their time talking about themselves. If you spending your time talking about what somebody else doing and you call yourself doing your work, your damn therapist is a scammer. Okay. I said it. I think he masked in a relationship where both parties do this. It becomes a masquerade, toxic mess when neither realizes or wants to take the mask off. Yeah. But they know each other's mask. If they were to take the mask off, they wouldn't even recognize each other. That would make them uncomfortable. Hi, Michelle. This is a great character breakdown. I appreciate it. Carrie, they both seem to put on whatever they are faced with the smallest amount of owning or being at fault, they deflect. Yes, they're very, very similar, but they're doing it for different purposes. Martell, and this is why I have hope for Martell. I think that Martell's is really, truly, truly rooted in, like, he has some sort of complex with his childhood because he goes back into like an infant mode and he infantilizes himself. He'll say, I couldn't have made that decision because you did it. I wouldn't have done it if you hadn't done it. I know you are, but what am I? Like, he gets into like he's a goddamn on baby. It's like, dude, that's so unattractive for you to turn into a little whining ass kid every time somebody says that you did something to them. He got a point as to why it was everybody else's fault and you made me do it. And then actually had his wife sitting there saying, yeah, if he wasn't with y'all, he would have never done that. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Do you believe that? Melody, do you believe that? Do you honestly believe? No, she didn't believe that. But at the time, it was the two of them united against everyone else. And that's when they are the most in alignment. Mentally, spiritually, they become goddamn, what is that? Twin whatever unite? I ain't really watched that cartoon. The Wonder Cats or some shit. That's what the two of them, twin powers unite. That's what him and Melody and Martell become, twin powers. Whenever it's a mutual, that, what is it? The enemy of my whatever friend or some shit is your enemy too. However you say it, that's the two of them. When there is no mutual opponent, they go right back to normal. They are really the same. We have to give grace. That we do. She said, they are truly similar. They very similar, like a child getting caught with his hand in the cookie jar, deflected. I could be wrong, but Mel uses embarrassment and condescending punishment to keep her position. Martell takes this as calling him stupid. But see, and let me put this in the thing. I'm trying not to lose my spot in the reading the chats. That's a very interesting thing that you just said, Tanya, because I think something in his childhood happened that brings him into a space of feeling ashamed, which is why he lashes out. And I think that's probably his resentment with Melody, is exactly what you're saying, is that she does kind of use this condescending kind of embarrassment type of punishment, because she did that to him on the show. The whole idea that they were not in agreement to bring the infidelity on the show and that she made the unilateral decision to do so showed that the plan was to shame him and embarrass him into doing right. And that is probably one of the discipline methods that his mom used when he was young. We don't know, but that's a trigger for Martell. He does not like being embarrassed. He doesn't like people being condescending towards him. It triggers him. That's when you see the worst of him. When people try to preach to him or like, do the finger pointing thing in Martell, that's when he gets into that baby mode. And the reason why it's from his childhood, because he doesn't, people say that he's like abusive and all these things. Even I'm saying that he's aggressive, but I'm not saying he's aggressive like a dog. Right? Like, I don't think that he busts a grape in a fruit fight for real. But he lashes out, right? In a very middle school kind of way, which is why, like, to me, I'm like, I'm one of them type of women. I try to fight Martell because he doesn't strike me as an actual man who would do anything to me. Right? Like, please. Right? I just don't see it. Because he gives 11-year-old, 12-year-old boy who's mad with his mom. Right. And I'm too much of somebody's mama to be afraid or concerned about somebody with that kind of behavior. And that's probably the way that Melody approached him too, is that you complain and you throw fits like a child. And so she act like his mama and put him in his place. And then that's the resentment. I think it runs deep with him. But if he got him an actual what is it called? A psychiatrist, it could help. And I have my guest here. Tanya came up. I'm excited. Let me see what else is in here before I start the panel. Lexi was defending herself. Martell came out after the interview, right? But he used that, right? He still uses all of that whenever now when Nell or Chris has something to say against him. He didn't have no ammunition against them before, but now that he does, he gonna bring up the side chick stuff. Once he finds a little bit of ammunition to use against any of them, he gonna keep using it. All right. Oh, y'all got a lot of comments in here. I'm going to keep reading them, but I'm going to bring up my guest. Okay. Hey, Tanya.
Hey.
How are you?
I am good. I'm good. I'm working.
Oh, no worries. No worries. So what you think? You watched it. I'm really curious. That's your favorite character. First of all, why is Martell your favorite character? Tell us that.
He's not totally my favorite, but he reminds me of myself, like in male form. Except I kind of don't. I can't sit there and understand some of the things he does, and so I think Mel just never took the time to sit there and go, "Hey, this is how he's going to react." She took advantage of his anger and made him look the worst in the scenario when she knew him better than anybody. So I always had the thing that no matter how bad it was or how bad it got, even his self-inflicted pain and the stuff that he did, he still kept coming back. I can't say that I would keep coming back to this group of people that.
Uh-oh. Hello? Uh-oh. Tanya, you there? Can y'all hear?
Okay, Can you hear me now?
I hear you now.
My screen closed. I didn't know you had to keep it up. This is the first time I've ever done this in my life.
I'm happy you did. So what were you saying?
I don't know where I left. Where did you stop hearing me?
So I think I stopped hearing you where you were saying that you wouldn't have kept coming back to people who.
Yeah, I wouldn't have kept coming back to this group of people. To me, they deflated him in a lot of kind of ways. And instead of him sitting there trying to learn and grow from his stuff, he was always in self-protect mode.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to protect me. So he was never worried about what everybody thought around him. He was protecting himself. And if that means I got to hurt you, and you, that's fine. I'm good. Because I'm insulating myself. But I think Mel knew that. And so that's what kind of breaks me with her. Because I did at the very beginning, I liked Mel. But that day she came up and she put all their stuff out there like that,
Mm.
I could not, because to me it deflated him, and from then on we looked at him one way. We
Yeah.
didn't look at all the other stuff. And I remember this one particular thing is she had a speech or something that she was going to do, and he didn't want to go. He was going to stay home with the kids. And she said she needed him there because she was getting like the Woman of the Year award.
Yeah.
And he said, well, we're always doing stuff for you, but we never worry about what I'm doing.
Yeah, and that came up a lot of times. I remember at the one reunion where he was saying that he wanted some praise, and she stood up and was like, "Oh, my husband supports me," like very sarcastically. And he was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Well, I take it," you know.
That's that condescension that would
Right.
tick me off. I would be mad. And so you wouldn't get anything else positive of. I'd shut right down and I wouldn't say anything else. And if I did, I would be mad.
Yeah.
And he does that.
Yeah,
The
he
only
does.
difference is he has no stopping point. He keeps going. I have a point where I pull myself back because I worry about how my family is going to react when stuff
Hmm.
happens. So that's kind of how I am.
Now, when you say that he's always kind of like playing defense or like fighting back, do you think that the threats that he's fighting are real, or you think that they're imagined and it's how he's perceiving the
I
people
think
around him?
I think it's more imagined. I think when people actually come at him and are thinking that they're doing good, Martell doesn't see that. He only
Hmm.
sees that they're attacking him. And I think that goes back to his mother because, he had him and his brother. I think he was like the man of the house.
Hmm.
And so, like, we see his relationship with his mom, and we always go, she's always taking up for him. But I think Martell saw him. I mean, Marlene saw was a certain way, and Martell saw her at her worst, but he
Hmm.
still worried about how people perceived. So he like took care of her, and everything that went wrong, he took care of,
Hmm.
and he didn't feel appreciated because remember at the beginning of the season, he told was it this season or last season? He told his mother, he said, it's always about his brother. He's never appreciated. She never says good job, Martell, for him.
Hmm.
And so I think that's part of his issue.
Yeah, it's definitely rooted in that for him. And for those folks who say that he never loved Melody, I think that it's difficult for folks who are watching their relationship, and as toxic as it seems, to call any of it love, because it isn't the type of relationship that some of have been in similar situations, whether it's a marriage or whatever. And so, it's easy to say that he never loved her, but I think that their version of love, they had it for each other.
I think
Um,
they loved each other enough to have stayed together if the show hadn't came out.
I believe that too. But I think a lot of that too is both of them loving appearances. That's
Exactly.
shown in the way that they used to dress alike, and like all like their and Brandon, their kids, Eminem kids, like all the things that they were doing were for public consumption. And so when you're doing things for public consumption and packaging yourself, you don't really know what part of that is real, or how much of it is marketing, right? And because
Mm-hmm.
both of them are kind of driven by that same thing, but again, relationships are about understanding. If
They
they
are.
had an understanding,
Hello?
can you all hear me?
I can now.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Someone called me and I'm doing this from my phone. Um, what did you think about the character analysis?
I thought you did a really good job because, I mean, all of the things that you said would hit like the mark, like what Martell, how he reacted to things, his anger. I think it showed. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I think it showed that he was hurt a lot more than he put out,
Mm,
and how he hides things and how he shields himself. The only thing that I really didn't get enough of is how he interacts with his kids. How does he
mm,
prioritize that relationship? Because I feel like out of the way that Martell is, I think the relationship with his children is more important than most any other. And I think that's one of the things that got Ariane to stick so much. I think she really would have been gone a long time ago if she hadn't got pregnant. And
mm.
so because she had a
But you know,
child, I
but
think
Ariane is also very young.
minded,
I think her age plays into it a
but
little
she's
bit.
not that young. She's young minded.
Not anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
not anymore. But when they got together, it was yeah.
Yeah, she was. She was young, and but I think she just I don't know. She's a different one. I think she self inflicts pain on herself too, which
Yeah.
is like Martell too. So I think Martell went and found in Mel what he considered the best of him, and I think he found in Arion the stuff that he wanted to improve in himself. And so if she
Mm,
got better, that means he's getting better. Whereas
mm,
Mel was the one that was building him, directing
mm.
him, and that's how I kind of looked at it. But I loved your show. I did. I watched it last night. It was great.
Thank you. I really tried, and I felt like I was being a little bit redundant, but that it just kept coming up to me about him not being in reality, and and it has to be rooted in, again, the shame that he feels about his reality,
Hmm.
right? Because when folks try to, and that's why I asked you, do you think that the threats are real or imagined
I
that he's
think they're
getting from
more
the rest of the
imagined.
cast? Yeah, because they're only trying to get him to do his work, and he takes it as if they're trying to drag him. And no one is, even if they joke, men do. I listen to my
Hmm.
husband and his fraternity brothers and all of them, the way that they talk to each other. We were just all together this weekend. They talk about each other like dogs,
Oh,
okay?
it's terrible. I'm in a
And it is,
sorority, so I get it.
look, and it's hilarious, right? Like, it's funny. And I don't get why Martell takes, and he does it all the time, because he'll crack the joke just like anybody else. But it's a certain type of joke that you can make about him. When you start to, if you're trying to hold him accountable and then you kind of joke in the midst of that, he gets defensive. But he can joke with all the rest of them and laugh about everybody else. He can talk about how Maurice was fat. He can talk about Kimmy being the side chick. He can do all of that stuff. But when someone turns around and does it to him on the wrong day, then he panders to the millimeters to
Hmm.
get them dragged online. And it's like, that's so not cool. That's just not cool to do.
It's not. I don't think he can take it from. I think he can take it from Maurice, but I think the two men he takes it the worst from is Marceau and
Yes, he
Chris,
does. Yes.
because they are that same person. To me, I
Mm.
think.
Uh-oh, your sound is out again, Tanya. Tanya, you there? Is it my phone or Tanya's phone, y'all? Y'all put a one in the chat if you can hear me. Can anybody hear me? Can anybody hear my voice? Yes. Okay, good. So we lost. Okay, it sounds like we lost Tanya. But I see she's still up here. Oh, her screen must have gone dark again. Well, while we wait for her to come back on, you all like her accent? Um, y'all said Martell is a nagging wife, getting good old Southern vibes. Yeah, they love your voice, Tanya. I used to feel some type of way about it, and I appreciate it. I think the producers at that time wanted the narrative to be that he was jealous of her accomplishments. I never got that. I never got that he was jealous of it. I think to an extent Martell likes being in the background because he's not a good public speaker. And she did the marketing better. I think they had roles, right? That she does the outward facing and he does the behind the scenes, the building of the actual business, and she goes out and promotes it. That's what I really think was the arrangement that they had made up. So I do think that the producers were trying to push that, but I never bought it. I think they love the idea of each other. Yes, I think they got caught up in their image as the Holts and stopped taking care of each other as individuals. Absolutely. Okay. Hey, Tanya.
Hey, I heard that. I know I'm country. I really try to work with it. You know, it works for work. My work people sit there when they find out I'm black. They're going, yes, I am very much so. But yeah, it's country. I can't help it. I'm from East Texas. It's how it is.
Okay, Texas. Well, I'm happy to hear your take on it because it is very rare that we hear anybody have anything humanizing to say about Martell, which is why again I like doing the character analysis and talking about it from this aspect because there's so much mess and nastiness out here that we forget these are actual people who are all having a human experience, right? And who are we to say like we can not like how it shows up on TV. That's our right to do, and sure we can talk about that, right? But it doesn't mean that they deserve to be harassed and doxxed and, all those crazy things. Like, let's just talk about them from the human aspect, because I'm sure there's a lot of things about all of these different characters that we can relate to, which is why we watch the show, right? And I think that Martell has just his own. I don't think they're demons. I don't think he has demons, but I think that he has some childhood trauma that he has to heal.
I think more people like Martell than people that will say it. But I remember when this first show started, you couldn't say that because they would eat you up, and you couldn't be in these chats. They would attack if you said that you became a pick me. It took me longer. This I was like, what is a pick me?
I still don't know what a pick me is, and every time I hear somebody explain it, I don't get what's wrong with it. I'm like, so we should be past me? Like, I don't like what oh.
Or you're male identified. I had to go look that up one day because I didn't know what that was. I said I do identify men, so
right.
I still don't know. I really don't understand what it is, so I don't really worry about it. But that was their attack. That, oh, you're a pick me. If you mean, do I think I should be chosen first? Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Like, why wouldn't I want to be picked?
Yeah.
But I call that language of the chronically online. Like chronically online people who just speak in memes. Like nobody knows what any of that stuff means. Like,
I don't think they do either.
No, it's called I disagree with you, and because I can't debate you on the merit, I'm just gonna insult you.
Yeah, I believe that. I have to go. I got to go take a chat.
Thank you. I appreciate you stopping in.
All right, thank you.
I'll see you soon.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, y'all. I got the feedback I was looking for, and this has been a real good conversation. What exactly does he know? Do people really? Okay, so I did see my friend Carrie say that Martell knows a lot about Chris and Marceau. Here's the thing about it, and I know that comes up a lot. So this is something that bothers me about Martell. It deeply. This is what I don't like about him. One thing that I know for sure about men, because I have a lot of male friends before I was married, and I've maintained those same male friends now and picked up a few more through my husband, right? When you talk about like bro code, they will take that stuff to their graves. I remember talking to one of my homeboys trying to get some insight about what my husband maybe, you go and you vent and you talk to your friends, whatever. And I remember him telling me, he was like, you'll never know the answer to that. You'll never know the answer to that. That man will take that to his grave. And the way that he said it with just emphasis, and the way that I've watched my male friends operate, they don't the stuff that Martell does, like that innuendo of like putting like creating smoke around his friends, like that is so out of bounds for like any type of bro or male code. It is just out of bounds. It's out of bounds if he's lying, and it's out of bounds if he's telling the truth. Because they know a lot about what he's done too. And that doesn't keep them from still trying to make that man better, try to get him to think through his shit, because the reality is his stuff is documented and out here in these streets. So what benefit is it to you to try to create smoke around people who you call your friends? And that's why that's the thing about Martell that I just can't get with at all, because I'm big on I don't want to call it trust, because I feel like you trust people to do exactly what they, that's it, that's okay. So that's why. So my version of trust, right, is that I expect people to do what's in their own self-interest. That's trust to me. I trust that you're going to do exactly what you do. I don't think nobody owes me no loyalty and all that kind of stuff, like expecting this like blind loyalty from your friends. That's why I pick them real good. I vet folks deeply, right? It's like a pleasure to be a friend of mine, because the vetting is real. It's like getting a VP. It's real. And so I am going to trust you to do exactly what I know you would do. And Martell is just not the type of person that could ever be close to me. Ever. Because the things that he would do for his own best interest would be to throw me under the bus, lie on me, throw me to the wolves, create innuendo, have me fighting on the internet. Like, he don't give a fuck really about me or my family, as long as it gets the heat off of him. It's like a person who's in survival mode. Like, you can't ever trust anybody who don't have their basics together, because if it's between me or you dying or me and you eating, like when you got folks who are that level of just like the lowest level of surviving, like where Martell has been for a while, just trying to make it, scratching and surviving, those are the most erratic, untrustworthy. And think about it. They owe loyalty to self. It's called self-preservation. Why would they put you above them? Right? Which is why I could never, ever, ever have Martell as part of my friendship circle. And I don't know any smart man who would want to claim Martell as a friend. And so that's weird to me. It's weird that Martell and Marceau and Chris have continued to be friends with Martell. But it also seems to me like they don't take him seriously. This most recent time in the clip, because we don't know how it's all gonna play out. They could all be friends by now. Marceau seems to finally be done with Martell, but it's just very odd to me, because none of them seem to really take Martell seriously. And so that's a question. If I was able to interview, see, I do need to do interviews because my questions would be so much different. That's why when I was questioning Destiny over there on Mental Monday, she was like, "Why are you trying to get all in my business, girl?" Because I got the real questions. Y'all don't want to sit with me, because I have a question for all those men. Why are they still in relationship with Martell? Because whether they telling the truth, or he's whether he's telling Martell is telling the truth or he's lying on them, either way, it's out of order. It breaks all the rules of friendship, all of them. Why y'all keep fucking with that man? And it ain't because he could tell, like, he already trying to tell it all. You can be friends with him and do all the things that he gonna tell it, or you can disassociate yourself from him and he gonna tell it. Martell is gonna do what is in Martell's best interest, and Martell's best interest right now is keeping people far away from his soft spot, which is being vulnerable and feeling ashamed. And he'll throw as many bricks, he'll throw as many flashy things, he'll throw as much stuff as he can to get you up off of him. When you got people like that around you, it's dangerous. And I don't get it. I would love to know from Martell and from all of them, why do they continue to hang out? Not Martell, from Marceau, Maurice, Chris, why do you all continue to be friends with that man? You remember that lessons from I was hitting Destiny. Once I finally tuned in to Destiny and started listening and I did her character analysis, now I feel like I know her. And since they validated that I be really getting in their asses in these character analysis, I was like, oh, I know Destiny now. And I got real questions. Not this stuff that these other content creators be asking them, this dumb shit about rumors. And nah, I don't really care about none of that. Here's what I want to know. Have you ever been in love? Like, let's get into it. Marcel, of all the things that you've been able to build for yourself, you've got it out the mud. We've heard a little bit about you and Maurice's upbringing. To look at where you are today and to go back to when you were 11 and 12 years old, did you envision this for yourself, right? And based on my character analysis of Marcel, he's very focused, blah, blah, blah. Go watch it. Okay. So understanding who Marcel is, for the life of me, I cannot understand why he is friends with Martell. It just does not make any sense. So either they all know it's a bunch of bullshit and it's all for TV, which would be my vote. That really is the only answer. Is that they really have done a good job of spinning the audience and making folks think that they got real beef and the beef don't be real. That's the only thing I could think of. That's the only thing that makes sense. Nothing else makes sense. Marcel is too smart for that, to have reckless people in his circle. It's too dangerous to his livelihood and what he's trying to build. And he don't take me as a person who really just associates with folks who like to crash out. I would rather interview with you than with Heavenly. Yeah, Heavenly, don't get me started. Please don't get me started. At this point, I want a picture of the 20 women so we can move on from this played out storyline. The bluff is Martell's big joker in the space game. Ain't no 20 women's. We already, look, I'm going to do a whole separate live, just a short video about how dumb and Three Stooges-esque it would look for Marcel, Martell, and Maurice, to the three of them in the club trying to get girls to go home with them to do threesomes. Like, if y'all don't get the fuck out of here with that, whoever believes that is the actual clown. Like, you gotta, and I bet a lot of folks haven't really thought about it like that. You just think about it from like the sensational aspect. But no, you and your girlfriends, y'all at the bar, y'all down to the bar, and in walks Maurice plus like 40 pounds. So a chunky Maurice. That is enough. Chunky Maurice, Marceau, and Martell. Okay. And this is circa, I don't know, however many of us say circa 2014. Okay. So far less money, far less swag, no cameras, no nothing. Just some regular dudes from Michigan walking up to you, which I tell them, if y'all don't get the hell away from my table, I'm gonna call the police. Ain't no way in the hell I'm buying that. I don't care if they in Las Vegas, in North Dakota. Ain't no women running up behind the three of them. Maybe the three of them today with the TV show, right, and all the shit, right? Because you got the clout chasers. But in 2014 or whenever, before any clout, before the internet was even good and ignorant yet, I'm not buying it. 20 of them. And we can't get one to confirm either these women are deeply embarrassed. And then some people are like, well, it depends on the quality of woman. No, it don't. It doesn't. Because even the little sugar babies need you to, like, they got to get something for it. And I'm going to tell it. Because the sugar babies are the ones who chronically online, who want the clicks and the views. They would have been out by now. I just don't buy it. That's what I'm saying. Like, the whole, all this stuff got to just be just foolishness, which is probably why Marcel and Maurice don't take no offense to nothing that he says. But I think what Martell may have effed up this last time is that he actually came directly at Letitia. And I think that was his fatal flaw. I think when he did that, I think that got his ass canceled. As it should. As it should. I believe if Marcel did anything that her either has told her should come clean with Tisha, he ain't done nothing worth telling. He ain't done nothing that all these men ain't done. He probably got a raunchy lap dance once. But Marcel, listen, and I'm just going to say this. I like Marcel as a character. I told y'all, him and Tisha are my favorites. Okay? Okay. Got that out the way. Y'all know how they said how bad Jay-Z looked. So many rappers. We just go down a list of entertainers. When we saw what they looked like before the money and then after, completely different person. So people now all of a sudden like Marcel is low-key handsome. Okay, I'm gonna tell y'all what y'all think now is handsome about Marcel that wasn't handsome about Marcel 5 years ago. I don't even gotta tell y'all. Y'all already know. What makes Marcel handsome today to where folks weren't saying he was handsome 5 years ago when this goddamn show came out? Y'all already know what it is. So y'all mean to tell me that 5 years before that, so 10 years ago, he had 20 hoes? I get the fuck out of here. And not only on his own, but he was in a group of niggas that was getting 20 and 30 hoes a piece. No. No, no, no. No, no, no. No, no, no. He cute now. I don't even know if he was cute then. You gotta, I've looked past some things. Like his face is growing on my eyes, and I know that nothing has changed about his face. It's all of the things around it. It's seeing how much more successful he's getting. That makes him more attractive. Letitia is more attractive, and that's hard because she's been bad from the start. See, even a man with a beautiful spouse, like in as thick as Tisha is, I say she Michael Jackson bad. She is. That upgrades Marcel, right? Like the fact that he just be laying down all this knowledge and folks actually listen to him. I've been listening to him. Now all of a sudden everybody else like, oh, Marcel actually smart, right? Yeah, we knew that, but now that y'all know it, it's like, oh, he's kind of cute. I never noticed. Like this man has looked like this the whole time. And I'm just gonna tell y'all, nothing has really changed. Marcel's clothing is still very much Alabama / Michigan. He's getting better. But them jeans that he was wearing with the rips in them, I was like, y'all are not convincing me. With the wardrobe and the lack of good solid money that Marcel had 10 years ago compared to now. That he come on, y'all know why that man looked better, but y'all want us to believe that he was able to pull. Marcel couldn't pull 20 hoes today, let alone 10 years ago. Y'all be putting so much on these men. This got to be women who really ain't never like y'all. I don't know. I don't get it. Just because a man is a man and got a thing, don't mean that women just be wanting to. We are very, very choosy and selective, believe it or not. And they definitely don't want the good ones. Marcel ain't even got no outside kids, and like he ain't been to jail a bunch of times. Like he ain't no bad boy. He ain't out here slanging dope. Like if he was dope dealing and slanging and banking, then sure. He ain't even doing none of that. Y'all ain't gonna get me to believe it. I don't even want to hear it no more about what Maurice and Marcel supposed to know about Martell and vice versa. Martell is lame as hell. I mean, I know he's a good person in his heart. He's a lame. He goofy than a motherfucker. And he act like he's 12. That is the most annoying type of dude to have around when you're a woman. No woman actually wants to be bothered with no little boy ass man. It's unattractive. Even if you are attractive, that's going to deduct you about 20 points. Nah, they'll spend his money and eat his food, but ain't nobody about to do no threesomes and foursomes with no goddamn Martell. Remember when Martell and them was at the strip club for the wedding, for Maurice's wedding? And the way they was trying to like proposition or talk to them strippers, it was clear then. Clear then. Let me look and see what y'all talking about. All right, let me see what y'all saying. Symmetry said people really believe that man didn't know his son was allergic to peanut butter. Right. No way. So I believe that he just be clowning and he knows the show fans will run with it. And it was so obvious that was a joke. People, videos. He don't even know. Like, y'all are slow. Huntsville doesn't seem to have anybody with the damn in the dating pool at all. Look at the folks Destiny forced to deal with. That proves the point right there. But maybe that proves everyone else's point that maybe just in Huntsville. But that place is too small for one to have 20. It's only about 60 people in that city as it is. Half of them got to be men, right? Whenever Martell throws out that bluff, the YouTubers start salivating. He's bluffed for 8 seasons and they fall for it every time. Look, and I've been saying 5. It's been even longer than that. You're right. It's 8 seasons of this. And their whole thing is just be honest. It's like, be honest about what? Like, just think about that. Just visualize it. Just take a moment. Close your eyes. And just let that play out. What would you do? The class of women that would be jacking for them, let's just say the class would be low, like pay to play and toothless. Right? So then, okay. So if you got down to that low, they think too highly of themselves to go. They don't got to go that route because they have wives who are already far above that class. They already hit above, they already like scored above what they were supposed to with who they with, like legitimately. So why would they go that low? For what? You may as well just pay. If it's like you could pay for it and not have to sell out that low. Yeah, it ain't that many that got a whole lot to lose these days. So I don't know. I'm saying it's a no. I don't believe it. Okay, now I've lost the chat again. Marcel worked at a movie theater a lot. So nope, not buying it. He's clever, still not buying it. Carrie said her and her friends are no. Put a 2, no. Put a what could y'all put? You just put an old measly 1 if your friends would fall for the description that I just painted for y'all. Put it in there. Actually, put an eggplant in the chat if y'all would go for Maurice, Marceau, and Martell in a group 10 to 12 years ago. You would have went for it. I can't wait to scroll down here and see these eggplants because y'all know damn well ain't none of y'all going. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. That's what I was trying to say. You get it. Charisma. Okay. Girl. I mean, fine. But that's not 20. That's not. We need at least 5 folks in this chat right now, to be honest, for us to think that 5 out of 20. There's 20 people in this chat right now. If 5 of y'all can confess with your mouth that you would have failed for be in proposition for a threesome with them 3 clowns rolling up on you 12 years ago. Look at how we heard they was looking then. Because they barely attractive now. And that's what a lot of extras on it and success put on it. And a little bit of fame thrown on there too. So y'all strip all of that down to deduce them down to who the fuck they was 12 years ago. And you put in the chat right now, if you would have jumped on the train. We need 5 of y'all for us to believe that Marceau alone had 20 hoes. Yeah, I was about to say Denzel couldn't get 20 hoes, but I think he could. He get them still now today. It's one of my favorites on the show. Loki was looking for his character type in one of the husbands on Family Empire Houston. I haven't watched that show. I told you I'm not gonna look at it. Chris cute and the Mac. Chris, you know what? I wouldn't be able to fool with Chris because all that damn dancing. You know, I'm from Chicago. Okay, all that dancing and shit on the internet. You know, like I'd be concerned that he wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't feel safe fucking around with nobody with Chris. What you gonna do? We get robbed or something? You just gonna like do the Dougie? I need to see something else. He too cute. He too pretty. He probably don't fix nothing around the house. Chris? He got that conch all slick back with the wet wave. He got all that dancing in them suits. I would not feel secure. But y'all, look, we all like different types. I'm not. Chris probably got him because that older woman crowd would think that. I'm telling you, they go up for Chris and a Martell type, especially when Martell be wearing them slack shorts with the church shoes with no socks and them legs be oiled up. That's all it take. All them older women want is hard D and bubble gum. They don't need you to do nothing else because they got their own money. Okay, but I don't know if there's 20 of them either. But then they the sugar babies. The men are the sugar babies. It just doesn't work out. I'm done with it. He mad daddy, all right. Who said he cute? Where the eggplants? None. Unscrolled. None. Throw up emojis. Y'all, look. Y'all don't keep playing. Keep playing. Laying it low and spraying it wide. That's it. I don't think Marceau has hips. I don't know where y'all got that from. I mean, he has hips, but I don't think he got like he had a BBL or nothing. I don't like John Legend because I also think that he's a punk. He always whining about something. Shut up, John Legend. I used to like him, but then he talks too much. Destiny likes to date long distance. I'm not gonna even get on Destiny and her dating right now because I have too many opinions. Most times when we heard the guys speak on Martell was when it's something already out there. Yes. And they on a TV show and everybody's talking about it and the producers are asking about it and like the fuck what they supposed to do. Your wife brought this shit out, bro. What you want us to do? It's a college in a NASA town. Marceau established at a reunion that they all promised not to talk about cheating. Yeah, we know that. Well, it should. I could see some little college girls talking about the money, but that's it. Yeah, but then they gonna put it on the internet. That's what y'all gotta remember. If you talking about Gen Zs, everything is for the streets. They're not, even the dudes, they're not going to just do it for the money. It ain't enough money. None of them have enough money yet for them girls to keep them quiet or any of that. Them hoes would be extorting them. You think he got 20 girls? You know the amount of extortion. Marceau wouldn't be able to sleep at night. He wouldn't be able to sleep. That Negro would be popping no-dos every night. Wouldn't be able to rest, couldn't close his eyes. Dealing with none of these Gen Z little girls. With their little internet, their phones and all that. Listen. Yeah, Q-Dog got a different type of reputation that you might want to try. I mean, I'm not saying that the Qs don't be giving a little yang, yang, yang. Okay, they do. But still. Here's my pick, Chris, Martell, and I don't want none of them. I can't do it. I ain't going to be able to do not even one. There's none of them on reality TV that I want anything to do with in that kind of way. I love them for who they with. I love Tisha and Marceau together. I think that they are perfect together and they love each other. And it's a beautiful thing. Don't none of them do it for me. Especially not Chris or Martell. Martell could be like, okay. Let me say. Martell could get it if I would have to rap. He couldn't talk. It's just a no. At some point, I used to think he was fun, but I mean, he is visually attractive, but again, his score gets deducted once you look at all the other stuff, which is why Marceau is more attractive because he has so many things that add to his account, whereas Martell, his account is deducted for all that F Negro stuff that he be pulling, all that whining and carrying on. Just like Chris Fletcher, his score go down because he always bopping and popping on the internet. That's weird, and his hair's too slick. I don't trust it. Okay, but Chris and Martell are conventionally handsome. Marceau is handsome. Marceau looks so much better in a suit with a cigar in his hand, stands in front of his business. Okay? I'm just saying. Now you can't minus Maurice. He was there. So that's what they saying. They saying all of them together used to walk through the halls. Denzel ain't got no hips. See, here y'all go. Marcel was a manager at the theater while owning rental properties. No, listen, it ain't enough holes in Huntsville for him to be pulling all this stuff off. And even if he was going to Atlanta, listen, they say everybody in Atlanta is gay. I heard that somewhere. I don't know. I'm hearing that Atlanta is not the best place to be dating or doing any of the stuff that y'all think these folks are doing. They say Atlanta is like the LGBTQ capital for Black Americans. So if y'all say they was running down there, I don't know what that is about. I made you watch Baby Reindeer. Oh Lord. Ginger, you went through a rabbit hole, didn't you? Beta. Who said something about the S curl? I keep losing these. Marceau does not have hips. He has hips. I seen him in the pool. Y'all must really be in these comments hard because I'm losing track of them. Okay, let me speed this up. Put a 1 in the chat if Marceau got hips. Compare Martell and Chris Waste to Marceau. He has hips. He anatomically has hips. Just like now, Sweetie Pies, he had hips, but Marceau is not like the guy from Sweetie Pies. I don't think so. A one night hit it and quit it. Ugh. Martell could catch the eye initially, but the first temper tantrum. Sandria, girl, that's what I'm saying. The first time he would have smacked his lips or some shit like that. Purse. Where's my purse? He couldn't be sitting around smacking his lips and stuff, talking about we dating. Yeah, I was about to say that if I put a bag over his head and tied his hands behind his back and tied his legs at the ankles, then maybe I'll have my way with Martell. But I don't even think that's enough to do it. Oh, Ginger, you in Atlanta? What they saying about Atlanta, though? I heard that. Y'all know where I'm from. Everybody here think they want to be a thug, so this ain't a good place to date either. But I will say from what I've heard about Chicago that these are like real down to earth dudes. Like what you see is what you gonna get. I don't know if what you seeing is what you want, but what you see, you gonna get what you see. Ooh, ciao. Carrie, that's about these hips. Why was Chris worried about Martell's body to have Trish train him? Oh, see, now y'all getting. Tim is a good point of reference. Marcel is not built like Tim. He's not. And Tim legit had hips. If you put a bag over Tim's head, down over his shoulders, down to let's say like his midsection, he could be a woman. Oh, okay. So it's just friendly. Got it. I can't do adult temper tantrums. Neither can I. Yeah, you gotta have a little thug, and that's why that dancing stuff turns me off. And I see Nell; she like to dance too, so they all get and they just dance together. And listen, just like I don't like seeing men in slides. That's a problem for me. Like unless we at the beach or at the pool, you cannot wear slides. Cause how you gonna protect us? And you can't fight in them. How you gonna fight in some slides? Then my husband told me, I ain't gonna fight at all. That's why I carry a pistol. Like you ain't doing none of that with no doggone slides on. I just can't picture it. I don't feel safe. I was responding to what someone said about him being a manager at the theater, and that's where the twin women could have came from. That's a theater fool. I don't know. I'm from Chicago, and our men are definitely the what you see, what you get. Listen, I've enjoyed y'all, and this has been a fool. And it usually dissolves into this when we done talking about the topic. So yeah, this was fun. That's all I really got to say about Martell. I'm not really buying none of this stuff. People really be painting these dudes out to be like all the things that they're not. And just from a female perspective, I don't know any women who would just be, but then again, You can find a woman to do anything, and they the ones that make it hard for everybody. But you ain't gonna get 20 of them for one dude. You've been with 20 women. He just pulled that out of his ass. Tired of him. I like my man to dance with me. But if I walk in the room and see you popping it, like, yeah, you can dance together. But he be on, listen, stuff be looking cool like on TikTok once you watching it. But when you start considering all the stuff these folks had to do to film it, and so then I'll just be thinking about Chris, like, no, I didn't do that move right. Like stopping and starting and aligning the music. Like at that point, it's like, get your ass off the internet and go sell some houses. You ain't got time for this bullshit. I don't want to see it. It's giving very much slide some oil to me. The Wiz. He's giving Tin Man realness. My brother said men were not meant to have a sandal between their toes. And not a band across the it's them slides. I don't care if they Gucci or what. I don't want to see that. I don't feel safe. If we gotta run or any of that, like what you gonna do? You know, like you can't do nothing in those. It's definitely slide some oil to me like that. That's what I get when Chris is dancing. It's like you got to be a little bit more careful and mindful about your hips and their wellness. Like you doing all this for what? Jail shoes. Oh my gosh. I don't believe any of this. And what are you saying? What is this? Lord. All right, y'all. Well, I have to go. I've enjoyed y'all company. And we're gonna holla later. Good night.